Theodore. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Bodak, Hank and George, and the harbor master too.
It was a beautiful winter day, and all the tugs were up early, full of beans and barnacles. Feeling the faraway warmth of the brilliant sun and the cool sea breeze on their faces made the tugs happy. Now, when the tugs are happy, they're always a bit noisy. "Tug of war!" shouted Theodore. All the tugs began pulling against each other with their tow ropes to see who was the strongest, blowing their whistles and shouting as loud as they could. "Can't pull me!" George called to Theodore and Hank. "Can't so!" squealed Theodore with delight. "It's fun!" called Emily. "It's fantastic!" hollered Bodak. "It's noisy!" Who said that? The tugs all looked around. It was the dispatcher. "You tugboats are being very noisy," he repeated in a grumpy voice. "I was sleeping, but your loudness woke me up. From now on, I would like everyone to be quiet."
Whoa, the dispatcher woke up on the wrong side of the dock, it looks like. But, why are you still sleeping at this point? Shouldn't you be up before the tugs are ready for the meeting? No? So why are you even bothering going back to sleep? Who knows, maybe he was out partying or something. Well, whatever. So later on that day, Theodore and George are to move Owen, and Hank wants to watch. They still have to be very quiet, with grumpy dispatcher still sleeping. But when Hank tries to warn the others about a very specific thing about Owen, well, the quiet didn't exactly last very long.
"Sure is good to see you. Yes, sirree, Bob," shouted Owen in his loud voice. Actually, Owen always talks in a loud voice. Very, very loud. "Gonna be moving me to the repair yards, huh, tugboats? Well, that's terrific. Terrific." Owen's big voice bounced off the other side of the harbor and rumbled right back at the tugs, just like thunder. "I tried to tell you," said Hank to the tugs. "Owen is very loud," frowned George. "Say, what's everyone whispering about?" yelled Owen. "The dispatcher wants everyone to be quiet, Owen," Theodore said softly as the tugs set off. "Oh!" roared Owen. "Quiet? Well, that seems great. Great. Yes, sirree, Bob. Nothing like a little peace and quiet."
Yes, but how long is that really going to last exactly? Owen can't go 2 seconds without screaming at the top of his lungs. Also, you guys are far out of the harbor. How could the dispatcher really hear you from way out there? I don't know, I'm a little confused by that. Well, anyway, the tugs were now on their way, and everything was nice and quiet again. That is until...
"Oh, let's all go down to the squid-chicken ground. There's nothing I've found like the squid-chicken sound." Hank just had to laugh. Owen wasn't trying to be so loud. He just couldn't help himself. And Hank couldn't help laughing. "Hank," Theodore said hotly, "it's not funny." "Oops," roared Owen. "Forgot to be quiet again. Well, from now on, I'll be as quiet as a sea cabbage. No, I'll be as quiet as a goldfish. A potato."
Okay, I'll admit, that was pretty funny. Like I said, Owen just can't help being his overly loud self. And as he continued on, he made Hank laugh louder and louder, which upset George and Theodore, and the two of them sent him away. Come on, guys, who said it was really going to be easy moving a big, loud, and funny oil rig? Well, Hank went on home, and as the fog started rolling in, within it, Hank heard a very loud noise and decided to investigate. It was Lily, the lighthouse, blowing her foghorn. Hank raced as fast as he could toward Lily. "Lily," huffed Hank, "the foghorn said we have to stop making the dispatcher said we have to stop making foghorns. Hank was so excited he couldn't speak properly. But Lily kept right on blowing her foghorn. "Oh, I have to do something to make Lily listen," he thought. He made strange faces. Finally, Hank floated backwards, rattled his anchor, rolled
closed his eyes and went straight towards Willie's Island. Well, Lily was so worried about Hank that she stopped blowing her foghorn. "Hank," said Lily, "I can't stop blowing my foghorn. It's foggy out. I have to warn ships and boats away from the sharp, dangerous rocks on Willie's Island. It's my job."
Well, technically both of them are in the right. Hank's only doing what he was told to do so no one disturbs the dispatcher, but Lily does have to blow her foghorn to warn any ships away. Seems like everyone was in a bit of a pickle, and that was a bad thing because now Theodore and George couldn't see where they were going in the thick fog, and they couldn't hear Lily's horn.
"I hope we don't run into Willie's Island, George," said Theodore, peering into the gloom. "I think it's around here somewhere." "Of course it's not," whispered George. "We'd hear Lily's foghorn." What George and Theodore didn't know was that Lily wasn't blowing her foghorn. "Hank," she said, "I really must blow my foghorn." "No," whispered Hank. He was so worried that Lily might start making more noise that he began to race around in a big circle. And that's when he noticed a giant dark shape. Something big was moving through the water. "That's Owen," Hank said to himself. He realized the tugs were moving Owen, and in the dark, well, they probably couldn't see Willie's Island, and of course they couldn't hear Lily's foghorn warning them away from the rocks. That's because right then, Lily wasn't blowing her foghorn.
Oh, this is gonna turn out bad if someone doesn't do something. Well, Hank wasn't gonna let that happen. But no matter what he did, the others kept telling him to be quiet. Well, what would you do if your friends were in danger? That's when Hank decided that even if he got in trouble, he was not about to let his friends get hurt on the job.
"Stop! You're too close to Willie's Island! Lily, blow your horn!" Right away, Lily began to blow her foghorn. "Danger! Stay away!" All the noise woke Owen, and wouldn't you know it, right there, almost in front of him, was Willie's Island. Hank moved quickly to the big rig. And pushed with all his might. "We're doing it!" yelled Theodore. The tugs turned Owen away from Willie's Island, and just in time. "Hooray!" cried George. "Hooray!" shouted Theodore and Hank. "Well, that sure was a close call, yes sirree, Bob," boomed Owen. "Good thing I woke up and turned on my lights." Well, the tugs had to smile. After all, they had done most of the work. Just then, the fog lifted a little, and the tugs could see another light come on, the light from the great ocean dock. "Oh, it looks like the dispatcher woke up too," said Theodore quietly. "It must have been all our noise," said George. "Uh-oh," said Hank to himself. "I'm in trouble now."
Well, glad everyone is safe and sound at least. But yeah, poor Hank is about to get into some serious trouble with the dispatcher. Who was still sleeping? How was he sleeping this whole entire time? I don't even know what to think. But anyways, let's head back to the dock and wrap this thing up, shall we?
"Why did you make that loud noise, Hank?" asked the dispatcher. "Well, Lily was blowing her dispatcher, Mr. Foghorn," Hank began. All his words caught in his throat again like he'd swallowed a bumper, and everything came out funny. Theodore floated forward. "I think," he began, "it was all because you told us you wanted everyone to be quiet." "Right," said George. "Lily wasn't blowing her foghorn, so we almost bumped into Willie's Island with Owen." "Until Hank warned us away," added Theodore. Well, when the dispatcher heard this, his mustache shot straight out. "Oh, my goodness me. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I see. Oh, dear. Well, I'm afraid this is all my fault." The tugs were so surprised they didn't say anything. And then the dispatcher said an even more surprising thing. "Hank, I'm very proud of you. Good job." "You are?" said Hank. "I mean, it was?" "Oh, it's important to do what I say, all right," said the dispatcher. "But sometimes I don't always say the right thing." "You don't?" "No, I don't," continued the dispatcher. "I didn't mean you should always be quiet. I just lost my temper this morning when you were making that big noise. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. From now on, I'll try and be more careful about what I tell you to do. You will? Said Theodore. I will, said the dispatcher. Good night, tugboats, and good job. Good night, tooted the tugs, and turned for their places at the dock. It had been a long day, and they were glad it was over. Good night, everyone! Big voice boomed out. It was Owen, hollering from clear over at the repair yards. Well, the dispatcher turned back to the tugs again. Do you think you should have a special loud time? He asked. Right now? Said Hank. Right now, said the dispatcher. Good night, Owen! Roared all the tugs together. Wow, said Owen. It sure is loud in this here harbor. Yes, sirree, Bob!
And that concludes All Quiet in the Big Harbor. I don't know, I'm a little mixed on this one. Both sides were right in their own way, but I just don't know how to feel about it all in the end. By no means am I saying it's a bad story, I'm just undecided. I will say though, thank God the dispatcher owned up to his mistakes, so I guess that's a bit of a saving grace. And I do actually see this as yet another character development story for Hank, which again is great. If I were in his place and saw that my family or friends were in trouble, I wouldn't stand idly by. So I do applaud Hank for that. Graham, I definitely think, stepped his game up as we heard some pretty interesting tracks throughout the episode. Which I will say, I think my very favorite piece is the rescue theme when everyone tries to steer Owen away from Willie's Island. Speaking of which, sets were really nothing to brag about since we only saw the Great Ocean Dock, the Open Ocean, and Willie's Island, where, funny enough, we even hear Lily speak for the first time. I don't know, maybe the best rating I can give this one would be that it's just okay, I guess. Next up is Theodore to the Rescue.